So we gather together under the auspices of the Holy Spirit. We're here because we are interested in opening to the higher truth of what we are. And so Jesus is in the room with the light behind him. When we come together under the auspices of the Holy Spirit, in order to recognize what we already are, we're tuning in to our inner light. And that's represented by the square with Jesus and the light behind Jesus. Jesus is the light in human form so that we have a person to relate to, so that we can then relate to the light, which is our greater truth. We seem to show up here together as people, but actually, it's a magnetism drawing us together to the light in which everything arises. Nothing can arise without light. Darkness cannot exist without light, and darkness is dissolved by light. The other day, I was listening to Ken Wapnick, and I'm pretty sure that's where I heard him say, A Course in Miracles is about willingness. The whole course boils down to a willingness to recognize what we already are. And the way we do that is we choose between the ego as our teacher or the Holy Spirit as our teacher. That's it. The simplicity of the course is that it provides a way for us to choose between the ego as our teacher and the Holy Spirit as our teacher. It's one or the other. And a lot of Course in Miracles is Jesus explaining to us what the ego is, how the ego functions, how the ego came to be, so that we can see that we have been choosing the ego as our teacher. We can't choose against the ego until we know what we're choosing. And we have to find out and be willing to acknowledge, once we get the hang of what Jesus is telling us, that we actually invented the ego. So ultimately, there's nothing to choose, but that's above our pay grade right now. We're definitely in a situation where taking ourselves to be human, and therefore being in a state of limited capacity to comprehend our spiritual magnificence, Jesus is speaking to us in a language that we can understand. In A Course in Miracles, he refers to us as babies and children. And so when we talk to babies and children, we usually talk baby talk and in a childish voice. We often do that. And Jesus is speaking to us that way. And then as we mature spiritually and align ourselves with the truth that Jesus is pointing to more and more, Jesus speaks to us in more and more, you could say, adult ways, which go beyond words and spoken language. In the Manual for Teachers, Jesus tells us that words are but symbols of symbols. They are twice removed from reality. So I suggest that you tune into your breath. First, just noticing how you're breathing in this moment. You know, we all might want to squeeze a little bit. You don't want to suddenly clench. Just engage your muscles and make fists of your hands and scrunch up your body, but, start gently. Don't do anything wrenching. And just squeeze from head to toe. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You could squeeze your eyes and you could curl your toes and you can suck in your stomach and crunch your shoulders and hold, hold, hold. Exhale and let everything go. And that helps us recognize how clenched we are on a regular chronic basis. And then allow an inhale to come naturally. And once you become aware of your own breathing pattern, you can squeeze again, and then you can release again. And you will begin to relax. You will begin to slow the breath, and the capacity for the breath will widen and increase and deepen and heighten. And that breath is the Holy Spirit within us. This is why the Holy Spirit is nearer than our very breath. And it's a way to reframe God or the Holy Spirit or Jesus being way, way, way out there or up, 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 in outer space, and realizing this breath is the wisdom of God, is as close as the truth can be felt in human form. And the breath is actually the same as the light. So you can feel yourself lit from within, or you might visualize that or just have a sense of knowing. You can let your imagination supply that possibility that your breath is the same as light, and that light is the same as love. And this light, which is love, is life. It is the life force, the oxygen that we breathe in human form, and it is life with a capital L in what somebody last week may have been referring to when she talked about the pre-separation state. The pre-separation state, when we are a oneness joined as one in God mind, where there is no place that God the Father ends and the Son of God begins. There is no delineation. There is no differentiation. There is just this magnificent, benevolent, all-powerful, loving, beautiful, joyful light. And this is why A Course in Miracles has a lesson called There is Nothing to Fear. And this is why there's a quote, slightly paraphrasing, "You are dreaming of exile while you are safe at home in God." We don't want to do spiritual bypass and pretend that we know this state when it seems elusive or not fully felt, or it comes and goes. Yet we do want to acknowledge what brings us together, which is the magnetic pull of what we really are, the truth, which you could also say is this light. Now, if you're feeling very relaxed, if you're deep in this state of mind, continue to enjoy. Along with my newfound expansion into somehow knowing what I know and knowing that light is reality, the word immersion came to me. You know, when you study a foreign language and you can study through immersion, you go to the country and you just jump in and you sink or swim. You have to somehow work with a language that you don't know. And it takes a lot of mistaken communication, and it can be very funny, and there's a lot of hand gesturing. And somehow communication happens, and little by little, there's a soaking in. Somehow the intellect, to some degree, some people become fluent, some people choppy, but the immersion does achieve a new level of understanding of a different language. And this is why I've been saying all along that we're sinking into the light language beneath the words on the pages of A Course in Miracles. That's what we're doing together. Yes, we're reading the words. And yes, it's okay if we break down each and every word. It's okay. And we're also trusting that we're porous, we're spongeable, and that we can immerse ourselves in the wisdom of the Course and the pointings that Jesus is showing us, and that the Course comes to us simply through, you could say, energy, intuition, a felt sense that it's true, or even just an urge to show up, even when we don't want to. There are plenty of course students, myself included, who at times have felt very frustrated with the course. There are sections I haven't understood in the course, and I've always gotten the message, keep reading. Just keep reading. Don't get hung up on it. There have been times over the years, I started the course in 1998, where I just didn't even look at the course. I would say for 5 years, went by and I didn't even look at the course in the 2000s. Somebody told me the early 2000s can be referred to as the aughts. Have you ever heard that? The aughts, from 2000 to 2010, AUGHT. So yeah, somewhere in that period of time, I always was drawn to spirituality. And there's always been a teacher, that I've been drawn to, and several at once. There's been Mooji and Rupert Spira. There's Gina Lake and Nirmala. There's Kristen Kirk. And then there are the old masters. There's Rupert Spira's teacher is Francis Lucille. And Francis Lucille's teacher, I believe, was Jean Klein. And I don't remember who Jean Klein's teacher was. Carol, do you know who Jean Klein's teacher was? Listening by Jean Klein. That's a beautiful book.
Yeah. And it says in here, his guru was Atmananda Krishna Menon.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So Rupert refers to Atmananda Krishna Menon. There's just so many, particularly at this point in time. So many. And for those of us who have felt particularly pained by the state of the world, the way it is right now, I just want to mention that it feels true to me what certain spiritual teachers are explaining, which is that it is an amazing point in history where there are planetary forces that have heightened the vibration of planet Earth and maybe, this whole galaxy, I don't know, but the vibration is higher. And therefore, there's a purification process going on, similar to when you filter a pool. So if you've ever seen a pool looking crystal clear and then somebody turns on the filter, it stirs up all the sludge and the muck from the bottom of the pool. And for a while there, it really looks like filtering a pool is a bad idea because it was blue before. It appeared crystal clear, but now all the muck from the bottom is being stirred up in order to be filtered out. And this is one explanation of what is happening with the politics and the conflict and the strife and the polarity, the polarizations within humanity right now. And that actually much of this, there's been several amazing periods in our lives. There was this harmonic conversion in 1987, I believe. And then, of course, the Mayan calendar concluded in 2012. And now there's this whole period of this very strong vibration, which affects all of us because it's planetary and it affects each of us to whatever degree we're able to tolerate this higher vibration. So that would be the good news about something that looks so bad. Now, as a Course in Miracles student, we've learned that the entire story of the world happened in one unholy instant, in one split second, and then it was over, and that we are reviewing the past. Everything that appears to be coming, the future, is actually the past because it's a movie that's done or it's a book that's written. So this is our particular path, and we can rest on that. It's inevitable. In A Course in Miracles, Jesus says it's inevitable that we will all awaken. Everyone must awaken. Nobody is capable of staying asleep forever. It's impossible. Your spiritual eye at some point is just so sick of sleeping, it has to open. And we can count on that, especially if we're here. Something is going on for sure. So that is one way, because it's easy to get caught up in the world and all the injustice and all the stupidity and insanity and all the contradictions and the chaos. It's totally crazy. And A Course in Miracles says that. Jesus tells us that. He literally tells us to be identified with the ego is to be insane. And to be willing to change your teacher and choose the Holy Spirit as your teacher now, which is the light behind Jesus, which is the inner light within our breath, is to choose sanity. And sanity is relaxing and it's expansive. Sanity is loving and it saves the world. It saves all of us, because when we align with sanity, we now are experiencing ourselves as a conduit for the sanity to move through us, and then it wants to express from us. And that's what we become. Instead of being just identified as a flesh and blood character, we switch to being a conduit so God can express through us. Now, A Course in Miracles is clear. It says God does not know we're here, and that's good news, because if God knew we were here, it would mean that here is reality, that there's a reality to this, and there's not. We're dreaming, so God doesn't know what's going on in a dream. God is awake. God is real. However, there is the memory of God within us that we've never been able to separate from. We can't not be what we are. And that memory of God, which is also called the Holy Spirit, is the way in which God expresses through us. And you can breathe in and out of that in this moment. God is expressing through me. We appear different, but the same light, which is loving and which is alive, is expressing through each of us uniquely. And that uniqueness really doesn't matter, but we can enjoy it while we're still dreaming. And we can be accepting and loving towards our own pace of awakening. We don't have to be self-critical. We can be aware that there's still anxiety, there's still depression, there's still whatever, it torments us, the way that we worry or the way that we're jealous or whatever it is. The conflicts we have that seem so absolutely justified. Yeah, in the world, they do feel very justified. And we can see that. And we can allow all the feelings that come through and have an attitude of observing, not being totally engaged with all of the emotions, all of the troubling thoughts that we have. That's a big first step, is to be more of an observer, to bring them all to Jesus or the Holy Spirit and say, I'm thinking this right now, I'm thinking that right now, I'm feeling this right now. It feels consuming. I don't know how to make it stop, or I don't know how to forgive this other person. That's not going to happen, but I'm willing to bring myself to you, Jesus. And that's really all we have to do. We do have to pause and hang out with Jesus and look together so that we get a surprise. It might just be a breath of relief. That happened for me for a long time, just that's it. But to notice that and take that seriously and realize something happened. Whether it's a big light show or whether it's one breath of relief, something happened. One is not more important than the other. There is no order of difficulty in miracles because there is no hierarchy of illusions, meaning that any problem, big or small, in the dream attests to the dream being a reality. So it doesn't matter what's, worse in the dream if we're seeking to awaken from the dream. Within the dream itself, yes, on the human level, some things are obviously worse than others. And when they're all consuming, we do need help in addressing them and getting a little distance, a little detachment, a little more alignment with spirit, going from just like the flat horizontal into the vertical. I wanted us to really get to the punchline of the hero of the dream in chapter 27 and read about the secret of salvation. But then, of course, I was kind of led to You Are the Light of the World, lesson 61. And the secret of salvation, I've mentioned it a few times now. We're just told in that section, the hero of the dream, that we are doing this to ourselves, that we are the dreamer of the dream. The dream is not just happening to us and we are victims of the dream or at the mercy of the dream. As a collective ego mind, the Son of God taking itself to be separate from God, to have an I, a me, we are the dreamer of that dream. And that is the secret to salvation, to start to believe Jesus when he explains this to us. I hesitate to use the word believe because mostly it's the ego that's doing believing. God mind doesn't have to believe anything. God mind is just being. I often boil the course down to being versus believing. Being is God. Believing is talking ourselves into not being God. That's it. So we're actually undoing our beliefs. We're bringing all of our beliefs to Jesus, to the Holy Spirit, so that they can be shown to us as not making any sense. And often when I've been in satsang with various teachers, I don't think I've mentioned Adyashanti, but you can attend these recorded satsangs online, or you can go to a retreat. And often when people are with the guru and having an altered experience, they bust out laughing. They bust out laughing because they suddenly see everything as it is. And they see, I'm doing this to myself. And A Course in Miracles says, into eternity where all is one, there crept a tiny mad idea, at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. It's funny when you don't take this seriously. Another way that Ken boils the Course down is he says the only problem is that we take the idea of the ego seriously. That's the problem. The ego is not the problem. The idea of separating from God is not the problem. God is not offended. God is not affected. The problem is taking the idea seriously and then getting caught up in our own drama about it. And ultimately, we find out that's not even a problem because we're imagining the impossible. We don't have to try and understand that until somehow it just, makes itself known to us somehow. We do need to consider that it's true. It's true that we are doing this to ourselves because we have a guru, we have Jesus, we have a teacher who does not force himself upon us. In fact, he tells us, I respect your free will. The Holy Spirit just sits and patiently waits until you invite the Holy Spirit in. It's our power of decision to say, I'd like to see this differently. There must be a better way. And that's what we're doing right now. Immersion. Yeah, I remember I'd been doing breathing exercises through yoga for many, 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 many years. And then at some point, I noticed that my inhales were constricted. They were so constricted. And it was so aggravating. Like, I've known about breathing forever. How can this be? Because we need to respect how well we have constricted ourselves, how thoroughly we've clenched, and how that clench unclenches little by little. And if we think we've unclenched too soon, we're missing that there's a whole another level of clenching that needs to be released. So actually, although I was discouraged finding out that I still had this very restricted breathing higher up in my chest, it actually was a good discovery. And I also discovered that in yoga, they often talk about the 3-part breath or the belly breath, where you put your attention on your belly and you feel the breath come through the belly rises, and then the breath comes through the rib cage. And they don't talk that much about how then the breath needs to come into the upper chest. That's a full 3-part breath. But because Americans or Westerners tend to stand like this, we were trying to soften people lower down in these teachings. And actually, we need to soften all the way up to the shoulders, all the way down, all the way up. Also, I was trained in heart rhythm meditation by my Sufi teachers, Puran and Susanna Baer, and they hooked us up to biofeedback equipment. This is a long time ago. It was at the beginning of HeartMath, if any of you know about HeartMath, which is a wonderful organization, and they have a website, and they have this biofeedback equipment that we were using. And this unusual thing was happening with me when they measured my expansive inhales and exhales. They told me, you're trying too hard. And you're not relaxing when you have this big, big breath. You're having a large increased breath, but you're not relaxing because you're trying too hard, you're efforting. And so your muscles, your musculature is working too hard. That was a very subtle distinction for me. And so they told me, Amy, don't work on your breath. You've worked on your breath. You need to work on relaxing your muscles. So when I tell you guys, just pay attention to your breath and then, relax into your seat and then allow your breath to slow and deepen and relax some more. I think what I'm trying to say is go back and forth between your breath and your muscles, because trying too hard is the ego taking over. It's the ego muscling its way in and saying, I could do this. I can do this very well. So having said all of that, why don't we read I Am the Light of the World? Because it's becoming so clear to me that light is everything. And Gina Lake, who also channels Jesus in much more conversational language and very closely aligned with the Course in Miracles, but you don't have to perfectly reconcile any other path with the Course. Just let things be complementary. You don't have to make them fit perfectly. They won't, because each path has a uniqueness of its own. God is expressing through each of us while we take ourselves to be different. And Gina has a beautiful guided meditation called something like, I am light, light, light. I am interpenetrated by light. I am infused by light. I am enveloped and surrounded by light. I am light. And it just goes on like this. And it's transcendent. So she's one of the ones that I just highly recommend. Okay, lesson 61 in the workbook. It's on page 102 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version, edition 2 or 3. Let's just begin. Just read nice and slow and enjoy yourself.
Lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Who is the light of the world except God's Son? This, then, is merely a statement of the truth about yourself. It is the opposite of a statement of pride, of arrogance, or of self-deception. It does not describe the self-concept you have made. It does not refer to any of the characteristics with which you have endowed your idols. It refers to you as you were created by God. It simply states the truth.
To the ego, today's idea is the epitome of self-glorification. But the ego does not understand humility, mistaking it for self-debasement. Humility consists of accepting your role in salvation and in taking no other. It is not humility to insist you cannot be the light of the world if that is the function God assigned to you. It is only arrogance that would assert this function cannot be for you, and arrogance is always of the ego.
True humility requires that you accept today's idea because it is God's voice which tells you it is true. This is a beginning step in accepting your real function on earth. It is a giant stride toward taking your rightful place in salvation. It is a positive assertion of your right to be saved and an acknowledgement of the power that is given you to save others.
You will want to think about this idea as often as possible today. It is the perfect answer to all illusions and therefore to all temptation. It brings all the images you have made about yourself to the truth and helps you depart in peace, unburdened and certain of your purpose.
As many practice periods as possible should be undertaken today, although each one need not exceed a minute or two. They should begin with telling yourself, I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. Then think about these statements for a short while, preferably with your eyes closed if the situation permits. Let a few related thoughts come to you and repeat the idea to yourself if your mind wanders away from the central thought.
Be sure both to begin and end the day with a practice period. Thus, you will awaken with an acknowledgement of the truth about yourself, reinforce it throughout the day, and turn to sleep as you reaffirm your function and your only purpose here. These two practice periods may be longer than the rest if you find them helpful and want to extend them.
Today's idea goes far beyond the ego's petty views of what you are and what your purpose is. As a bringer of salvation, this is obviously necessary. This is the first of a number of giant steps we take in the next few weeks. Try today to begin to build a firm foundation for these advances. You are the light of the world. God has built his plan for the salvation of his Son on you.
Thank you. So it begins, I am the light of the world. And I invite each of you to soak that in. Say that to yourself. I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. And let that replace every negative opinion you've ever had of yourself. All you are right now is the light of the world. And let it replace every positive opinion you've ever had of yourself. Right now, all we are is the light of the world. And we do not have to know what that means. I like to spell sunlight, S-O-N, with a capital S. Sunlight. We are God's light. We are the extension of God's light. We are God's great rays. We are God light. That's our self-esteem. That's our self-image. That's our self-respect. That's our relationship with ourselves. I am light. I am light. Does not matter the physical condition of the body. Does not matter. Personal health has nothing to do with it. You are light. That is your essence. That is your source. And that is what you are. So we begin, who is the light of the world except God's Son? So then we have to take in, I must be God's Son. And it's not the male gender. Son is used in a genderless way. So whatever you are God's Son. You are God's creation. We are God's creation. And God's creation is the light of the world. This then is merely a statement of the truth about yourself. So for me, this is a much, much deeper, truer way of doing an affirmation. When we speak of positive affirmations, this is better than that. It's confirmation. I am merely stating the truth about myself, that I am the light of the world, according to Jesus, who is my teacher in A Course in Miracles, and I'm willing to listen to him. So I must be God's Son, God's creation, and I must be the light of the world. I must be light. So this statement is the opposite of a statement of pride, of arrogance, or of self-deception. This statement does not describe the self-concept that we have made as people and as a race, humanity, and as individuals within that race. It doesn't describe any of that. It does not refer to any of the characteristics with which we have endowed our idols. And our idols are everything other than God. So they're ego God, their special relationships with people. When we're children, we think our parents are God. When we're grown-ups, we hope that politicians know what they're doing, world leaders, we hope that they're like God, and anything that we use to make ourselves feel better, substances, food, sex, shopping, anything and everything on planet Earth can be a substitute for God, also called an idol. But I am the light of the world simply refers to us as we were created by God, and it simply states the truth. And we can relax into this truth, and we can allow the possibility that the truth is true. Yes, Rico.
Good morning, family, friends. Welcome. Thank you for letting me be here with you. I send you love and light from my heart to yours. You know, Amy, this was one of the first paragraphs that really made me have my first realization. And one of them was, so I kept reading it over and over again, and I couldn't get it. And I got rid of my philosophical overview and my ideology and my education, everything, and said, this is just telling me who and what I am. That's it. Nothing else. And it was just hard to embrace that, except, as my friend Tony Robbins always says, repetition is the mother of skill. I just kept having to go over it and over it because my life up until this point never told me that's who I was. And this is telling me, get rid of all the fluff and all the stuff. This is who you are and what you are. And that was the start of my really getting interested. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. For each of us to, just step up and describe what it was like at some point to get this, even for a moment, and not with this lesson necessarily, but the simplicity of however the truth of the Course or any spirituality has hit us. It's wonderful when we testify right here. And I'm glad you stepped up, Rico, because I've been wanting to put you in the hot seat. And I was wondering if you would agree to do an experiment here in class.
I've always liked the heat. Let's see what it feels like.
All right. All right. So it's really very simple. I want you to say your greeting slowly. Because when you say it, you're considerate. And so you say it rapidly so that you don't take up too much time with it. And you say it for yourself. You've explained that to us. And it was fun, reflecting back to your receiving last time. This time, I'd like you to really say it as slowly as you'd like to, really feeling what you're saying. And everybody here have a vicarious experience of this greeting that Rico offers.
And before I get on the hot seat, can I give you a little preamble?
Yes.
I've had a tumultuous journey here. I'm a member of a 12-step program. I've come from homelessness, eating out of dumpsters, to where I am, wherever that is. So when I say this, I've learned some rigorous honesty through the 12-step program. When I say this, it's not to make you happy or to get you to like me. It's something I really feel, because the Course in Miracles, and I've only been here for a couple of years, has taken me to a place that I hadn't reached in the 12-step program. So if I had to cut it down to its least common denominator, it's about being honored to be in your presence and not be dominated by what I think you think about me. So it's just almost a freedom for me. Yeah. And it's not about how you respond to me. It doesn't matter anything. It's that I'm talking to me and my Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And
yes, I get that. I don't know if everybody here gets that. I do get that. And so my invitation to you is to take your time with what you are honoring in yourself out loud.
Okay. That shouldn't be too hot. Ouch. No, I'm only kidding.
And it's for all of us, because we tend to hurry or rush or speed things up, and to actually move into our own rhythm and allow the whole thing to blossom. And by the way, Rico, I too sort of graduated from 12 step. My path was Al-Anon
Mhm.
to A Course in Miracles, and then that, at a certain point, I didn't go to 12 step anymore, but I always continued to practice. I think it's the 10th step, at the end of every day, making amends, at the end of every day, taking a personal inventory, and staying honest that way. So 12 step has been very transformational for me as well.
Okay. Let me see if I can slow it down. Because, I'm Puerto Rican. We usually talk at two speeds, fast. I'll try to slow down. Good morning, good afternoon, family and friends, because that's who you are to me. You don't know it, but I do. Thank you, which I mean from the bottom of my heart, for allowing me to be here with you, to be in your presence. I send to you love and light from my gracious heart to your beautiful spirit. And that's how it goes.
Thank you, Rico. I am feeling you.
Yeah, I really, I'm sincere and I really mean it. And it's not to people please or anything.
No.
It's from whence I came from, which only me and God knows, to be able to sit here with you it's an honor and a privilege. And I just like
Yeah.
to acknowledge that.
I feel that you're expressing something that I feel too. I feel that towards everybody in this room every time you show up. And I feel that you speak for me in a way. There's an eloquent way and a vulnerable way that you say that I feel very satisfied by. And then receiving that, and I'm hoping everybody received it again this time, to allow ourselves to receive that much love is very challenging. It means that we need to soften and open in order to receive. And to do this requires slowing down and exposure. Exposure. It's like 12-step teaches you're only as sick as your secrets. Well, this is the healthy exposure of exposing the love and gratitude for having a community show up and appreciate together.
There's another small part I have to be emotionally and spiritually vulnerable to you guys is that I'd never experienced this level of love. Honestly, most of my love, I thought this is looking back. Most of the people I told I love you, I was lying or I wanted something. So to express that to you now, and I've also learned through this how to listen with my heart instead of my head. So I'm not hung up and getting analytical anymore. I'm just getting to a more feeling world. So Course in Miracles has been on top of I was what they used to call a heavy 12-stepper. My whole life was built around it. And I just got to a ceiling spiritually. That's it. I had a yearning for something else. And I tried a few things, and it took me about 2 or 3 years to bump my head against the wall. And then I finally got introduced to this. And I said, nothing happens in God's world by mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Next level. Thank you. Thank you for sitting in the hot seat.
My ass is on fire, and I won't complain.
Muji says, the fire of satsang, don't be afraid of it. It will not burn you. It will only burn what you are not. The fire of satsang will not burn you. Satsang is a community of truth. It will only burn what you are not. So this is an invitation to each of us to get in the hot seat. And I try to do it for you guys every week, to reveal something vulnerable about myself, to role model honesty or some kind of vulnerability that helps us all deepen our commitment to being honest with ourselves and with Jesus and with each other if it feels right. And to realize that it's not always lofty or profound. You know, like when I told you that at one point in my life, there was nothing more important than getting good at the cha-cha. That was everything to me. And by the way, I mean, getting good at dancing, it's so it opens up the body, it focuses the mind, you know, it's all consuming. And for me, it was all consuming in a really healthy way where I wasn't obsessing about boyfriends or getting a better job, or I was just thinking about how to lengthen up through the spine and how to do a grapevine and twist my legs. And it was delicious. And I guess it's like that for anything that you do, whatever it is, you know?
I think for you, because you're a passionate being, in my opinion, the cha-cha and the tango are two of the most passionate Latin dances that there are. So I can see you doing the cha-cha.
I hope I get to cha-cha with you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's so much fun. Or, you know, or salsa, or all the different rhythms, and Argentine tango versus American tango. It's just West Coast swing. I mean, dancing, you guys, is just amazing. But I would love for you to share with me, you know, what you love, and just to find out that it's worthy. It's worthy for us on the human level to give ourselves permission to do what we love without being the best at it, just doing it for ourselves, not in a competitive way, but in a fulfillment way. I want to play you a song, and it's a very human song. And I just thought that you would enjoy it and we could all sing along to it. It's by Don Williams. I think it's called Lord, I Hope This Day Is Good.
Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good. Lord, have you forgotten me? I've been praying to you faithfully. I'm not saying I'm a righteous man, but Lord, I hope you understand. I don't need fortune and I don't need fame. Send down the thunder, Lord, send down the rain. But when you're planning just how it will be, plan a good day for me. Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, I hope this day is good. You've been the king since the dawn of time. All that I'm asking is a little less crime. It might be hard for the devil to do, but it would be easy for you. Lord, I hope this day is good. I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, I know I should. But Lord, Lord, I hope this day is good.
Thank you, me, for putting a little pizzazz in A Course in Miracles. I like that.
Thank you, Amy. That was lovely.
That sounds like a song that you're trying to wonder, am I really the light of the world? That song goes perfect with that. Trying to see if you can embrace that.
Yeah, I was introduced to that song so many years ago and didn't know anything from A Course in Miracles then. And he was so genuine, Don Williams. I'm not really a country music fan, but Don Williams, straight into the heart. Yeah, a lot of people have said that's not just a song, that's a prayer. Yeah. There's so much amazing music out there. Taylor has introduced me to some contemporary music, some groups I've never heard of that are just amazing. And we're trying to work on doing some kind of music Course in Miracles thing. So we'll see how that develops. But you could feel, right? Music is a mood changer. Music is one way immediately to change your mood if you feel like you're in a rut, if you feel like you're practicing the course and it's not getting you anywhere. Sade had a huge impact on me. I guess that was in the 80s. And she had one song in particular about being a friend. She was such a friend to me. And Sade, if you've ever seen her sing, she moves in a very unhurried, very deeply felt. She's so inside her own rhythm. And that was deeply spiritual for me. It just connected me back into myself. And when we start to learn that our self is the light, that changes everything. We remind ourselves, wait, I'm not this all alone little human with no support. I am the light of the world. I am God's light, and I do have a purpose, and it is to connect with the light and shine. That is our purpose. None of us lack a purpose, even if we don't know what our worldly purpose is.
Amy, since you put me in the hot seat, my share with my spiritual family that's becoming my spiritual family, one of my morning mantras after I finish all my other stuff, and it came from that lesson. I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Salvation is my only function. I am willing to atone for all my mistakes, past, present, and to come.
That is willingness, Rico. That's willingness, you guys. Yeah, so paragraph 2 says, to the ego, today's idea, I am the light of the world, is the epitome of self-glorification. The ego will shame us for starting to know that we are the light of the world. But the ego does not understand humility, mistaking humility for self-debasement. The ego tells us to be humble is to be humiliated. Humility consists of accepting your role in salvation and in taking no other. That means that we accept that we are an extension of God's light, and we do not take on being separate from God as an ego individual. That's the reversal of A Course in Miracles. And that's what true humility is. That's the sameness of everybody that in the world, working within the dream, sameness is as close as we get to oneness with a capital O. God mind is oneness. But here, we all share the same heart. We all discover that we are actually this inner light, and that is sameness, even though we express uniquely. It is not humility to insist you cannot be the light of the world if being the light of the world is the function God has assigned to you. God has assigned our function to us. Be the light of the world, go forth and shine. That's another way of saying, turn to the Holy Spirit for miracles, let miracles move through you. Miracles are healing, and let miracles ripple out into countless others that you will never know they affected. Same thing. Be a conduit for love and allow love to move through you and love everyone around you. Just different ways of saying the same thing. It is only arrogance that would assert that being the light of the world, this function, cannot be for you, and arrogance is always of the ego. So to say I cannot be the light of the world is to start to recognize I'm listening to the ego. That's arrogant. It's amazing to discover what arrogance is. To belittle ourselves in any way is arrogant. To not accept our function according to this workbook, if we're course students, that's arrogance. To push back and say, no, this isn't me. Jesus has it wrong. I have it right. That's arrogance and ignorance. And not to beat ourselves up with that, just to start to recognize it. The recognition is so important. True humility requires that you accept today's idea, I am the light of the world, because it is God's voice which tells you it is true. The voice for God is the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is telling us you are the light of the world. That's why we have the Jesus Square in this classroom, to constantly remind us and reinforce through immersion that we are that light. The light behind Jesus is our reality. It shines through him and it shines through us. We are the light. We are immersed in the light. We are infused with the light. We are enveloped with this light. We are this light. We are lit from within. Our cells are sparkling with the purity of this light. Yes, this is the truth. The body can come and go. We are still the light. We are the light. So to accept that this idea is true is a beginning step in accepting your real function on earth, to reconnect with our inner light. It is a giant stride toward taking your rightful place in salvation. Salvation is a promise that God has made to us that we will recognize that we are at home. We will return home through the undoing of all our beliefs about who we are, which have been incorrect. Today's lesson, I am the light of the world, is a positive assertion of your right to be saved and an acknowledgement of the power that is given you to save others. Because when we are willing to know ourselves as the light of the world, we see through all personalities to the essence that they are the light of the world too. And that changes how we interact with them. You will want to think about this idea, I am the light of the world, as often as possible today. It's a thought that you could think in the middle of doing anything. I am the light of the world. You could be driving, you could be at the cashier, you can be talking to somebody, you could be watching TV. I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. According to Jesus, I am. It is the perfect answer to all illusions. Illusions have to be shadows. They have to be darkness. They're illusions. They're not reality. And therefore to all temptation. All temptation is everything that the ego tells us we are. I am the light of the world brings all the images you have made about yourself to the truth and helps you depart in peace, unburdened, and certain of your purpose, which is simply to be the light of the world. Without knowing how, just the willingness to be the light of the world by following Jesus. We have a teacher to follow. It's wonderful that we don't have to know how, so that we don't get interrupted or stop ourselves. It's like, but I don't know how. That doesn't matter. He said, just keep reminding ourselves, I am the light of the world. This is the truth. This is reality. My teacher has told me so. I'm willing to absorb this. I'm willing to reconnect with this. As many practice periods as possible should be undertaken today, although each one need not exceed a minute or two, because Jesus is aware that it can become too much for us. A minute or two can actually feel like a long time. And each practice period should begin with telling yourself, I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. Initially, I was here because I followed the ego, but now I have asked for help. And so my new purpose for being here is my function as the light of the world. It's very simple. I'm just going to remind myself that I'm the light of the world. I don't have to know anything else. I could be yelling at my partner and suddenly remember and just go, uh-oh, Jesus, I'm the light of the world. I'm not acting like it, and then something can happen there. Then think about these statements for a short while, preferably with your eyes closed, if the situation permits. Let a few related thoughts come to you and repeat the idea to yourself if your mind wanders away from the central thought, the simple central thought, I am the light of the world. And it's nice when related thoughts come to us because we start to cultivate and realize we have a relationship with the Holy Spirit because, oh, this beautiful expression just came through me. These words came through, this image appeared, and clearly it was given by Spirit. And that reinforces that we're actually in relationship with Spirit, and Spirit is real. It is real. It is more real than this life situation that we have taken to be everything about us, that we've taken to be a fact. There's actually no supporting fact to make what we've thought were facts, facts. That's the investigation that Rupert Spira takes us through so beautifully, and Mooji also. This investigation, or, Ramana Maharshi is famous for saying, go within and keep finding out, who am I? I always liked, for me, the related thought was, what am I? Because who just kept me, personified. And so changing to what really helped me connect with light. Oh, I'm not a who, I'm a what. I am the light of the world. I am light and I shine. Then he says, be sure both to begin and end the day with a practice period. And Jesus has actually been telling us all throughout A Course in Miracles, begin and end your day by checking in with me. Say good morning to me. Say good night to me. I'm here. Begin with me. We can do that. It can be very conversational and informal and irreverent. That's how I have had to discover relationship with Spirit, is informally. And I do find myself very reverent sometimes, with Mooji. I went into a state of reverence and surrender that was so beautiful. But I'm not really, my character has not been to be a devotee of any particular guru. But I have experienced that state of just being at the feet of the guru. There's a saying, to be at the feet of the guru is to be on top of the world. Because it's this true humility. It's this complete openness to the light. So yeah, try and remember to just say, good morning, Jesus. Good night, Jesus. Be in my dreams. Please be in my dreams with me, Jesus. That's what my book, Sweet Dreams of Awakening, turned out to be. It was, bless me, please bless me, Jesus, as I fall asleep, and filter through my sleeping dreams and use them to help me awaken. Because we become aware that our daytime, quote unquote, awake state is a dreaming state too. Right now we're dreaming. Yeah. So be sure to begin and end the day with a practice period. Thus you will awaken with an acknowledgement of the truth about yourself, that you are the light of the world, that your function is to be the light of the world, and that will bring you happiness. Reinforce it throughout the day and turn to sleep as you reaffirm your function and your only purpose here, to be the light of the world, which is the same as a bringer of salvation, which is the same as a miracle worker. Just different ways of saying the same thing. These 2 practice periods may be longer than the rest if you find them helpful and want to extend them. The workbook always gives us structure in terms of this many practice periods plus as many extra that you need to apply when you find yourself getting upset about something, plus say hello in the morning and say goodnight at night. Starts to add up, repetitions. And the last paragraph says, today's idea, I am the light of the world, goes far beyond the ego's petty views of what you are and what your purpose is. And the ego's petty views have everything to do with the world. Ambition, competition, winning, losing, all of that. As a bringer of salvation, this is obviously necessary that we go beyond the ego's petty views. This is the first of a number of giant steps we will take in the next few weeks. Try today to begin to build a firm foundation for these advances simply by practicing, taking a moment. I am the light of the world. My teacher says this is true. I'm willing to take in, to absorb that this isn't just an idea, this is a fact. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. God has built his plan for the salvation of his Son on you. No pressure. It's supposed to feel good.
You know what? The verse came to me, the lesson that came to me this morning was, I trust my brothers who are one with me. And I had to go to my weekly appointment and I was like saying, oh, I hope this works for me. I want to be healed in my body and whatnot. But, and then I looked at it's lesson 181 and I thought, one, infinitely one. We are one infinite being. And so we can take joy in whoever comes into our awareness or our, and just to be with you folks right now is just really nice.
Yeah, those are really beautiful related thoughts, Brenda. They are. We never know what's going on. If we have an illness, so that appears to be a bad thing, but that could be that could be a healer in some profound sense that we're not even aware of, that I give permission to all of those who are ill to see themselves as the light of the world because I'm willing to see myself as the light of the world. And of course, we want the body to be healed. It's just, it's so much more fun when the body is functioning, and it's okay to pray on that level too. Of course it is. It's just to know there are higher levels. No, you can pray on both levels and let Jesus sort it out for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Seems like we're reaching our natural conclusion. Does anybody else want to comment or say anything? Don?
Because I generally feel so separate and can't figure out how that's happening, I want to offer this as an experience I had this morning that kind of reassures me that I am in contact with God, that I am in contact with the Holy Spirit. So I wake up this morning, variety of states of mind, but dismal, and I get up and I look over, my wife's still asleep, and I look at her, and suddenly I'm aware that all these little separating thoughts are coming into my mind. All the ways that the way she mistreats me or doesn't treat me the way I want come to mind as evidence that she doesn't love me. I think this is a common theme in my life. She's just right in my face. And what the beautiful thing is that I noticed that. And that was very reassuring. I noticed it. And then the next reassuring thing was that some of Jesus's teachings in the lessons came through, like when there's a place when you're trying to move from seeing the enemy versus the Holy Spirit in another, came to mind about look for the, in my own words, loving things about this person. Look for the loving things about this person. And so it was another, again, affirmation that Jesus's messages are sinking in and having an effect. And I need that encouragement. And there was one other thing that came to mind from the Course from Jesus. I think as I'm saying this, the other important part that I didn't really take a lot of time to do, I definitely moved from commitment to that separating state of mind. But what I really didn't take the time to do is I scurried on to do the things I do in the morning. I didn't really give time to let some of those appreciations come to mind. I had a general idea that those were going to be true, that was what was true, but I didn't let time come to settle that. So I just wanted to share that because I wanted to affirm that it really happened in my own mind and give it a little weight so that it's a way that I, continue to respond and be vigilant against the ego.
I'm
And
really, really
for the
glad.
kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you shared this to reinforce within yourself and also to demonstrate to us, you're exactly right, that you're being vigilant against the ego and for God and his kingdom in catching yourself, recognizing the old familiar thoughts, the separating thoughts, and then having your Course thoughts come through. And that is what starts to happen when we're regular and more consistent with the practice. We can be Sufis, we can fall off the caravan and come again. But the more that we do it, the more reinforcing it is, the easier it gets to catch ourselves sooner and apply something better.
Amy, may I
Are you-
please?
Thank you, Don.
Yes, are you complete,
you.
Don?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, go right ahead.
Thank you. This is just so quick because it jumped out, like literally jumped out, which means I need it too. But I was so appreciating Don's share, and I had just happened to turn to lesson 181 because I really appreciated Brenda's share. So I wanted to make sure that I marked it to go back and read. So it was already on the page. I'm listening to Don, and as he's speaking, I look over and see a line that I underlined in paragraph 2 of lesson 181, but it starts with 5. Remove your focus on your brother's sins and you experience the peace that comes from faith in sinlessness. This faith receives its only sure support from what you see in others past their sins. This is what I underlined. For their mistakes, if focused on, are witnesses to sins in you, and you will not transcend their sight and see their sinlessness that lies beyond. Thank you so much, Brenda and Dawn. I needed to hear that today.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Thanks, gang. I love being with you. Feels so good. Mwah. See you next week.